Hello, y'all. I don't see anybody in here. But how is everybody? Drop in the comments where you're tuning in from. Hello, happy Saturday, y'all. I'm waiting. Ivory is coming on. We are going to open up the panel tonight to a couple people. Hey, Erica. Hey, Sunny. Hey, Haley. How is everybody doing? Hey, Kindness. Oh, hey, Pamela. Hey, Mama. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Ginger. Hey, Robin. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Kathy. How are you, Erica? All right, so we're going to talk Gypsy tonight. Ivory is going to request to come up. Hey, not my monkey. I am good, and you? Hey, Mama. Hey, Dee. Hey, Hollow Mom. How are you guys doing tonight? Y'all, it's been such a crazy weekend. Ivory said to give her a couple of minutes, and we are going to go over a couple of things, and then we're going to open up the panel. We are still working on... Ha 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 ha. Sorry, Mama. A couple of more details with the information that we have, which is why we haven't put a video or a live out yet saying too much, because we want to hand you guys all the information at one time. So just hang in there with that. Y'all, Gypsy has always been scary. Hey, Allie. And just imagine, Gypsy had these pictures before her mom's unaliving, and she has the nerve to say that her mom was controlling. This picture was clearly taken in her living room. And who took the picture? Because you know that she didn't have a tripod at that time. Thank you for the gifts, y'all. Hey, Candace. Like, let's be for real. Hey, Luna Bear. I mean, first of all, where did she get that wig from? Because Amazon wasn't really popping like that back in 2015. Hey, Mersey. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Tempe. Thank you all for tapping the screen. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is It is a very creepy picture. Hey, Carol. Oh, it's hard to read the chat. Okay, hold on. Let me find that other picture of Gypsy. Hold on one second. Hold on. Let me find that other picture of Gypsy. Hold on one second. Hold on, y'all. I got a better picture. Y'all ready? Because y'all are going to be like, Nina, you're diabolic. Who is it? Okay, come in. Why didn't it change the picture?
Mom?
Yes, baby?
Grandma said I have to go to Mommy.
No, you think you're tricking me. That's why you're smiling. You think you're tricking me.
She told me that.
No, she didn't, but it's okay, Gio.
I have to go to somewhere.
You have to go to somewhere.
Yeah, I have to go to my mom.
Okay.
Because you told me that already.
I didn't tell you that. Gio thinks he's slick, is what he thinks. Yo, was this back when she was sad? Could you imagine you did this to live your best life and you want to say everybody else is a POS? Yo, I cannot. I cannot. Yo, I just cannot. I really cannot. Yo, Gypsy is out of control. Yeah, hold on one second. Yo, this is crazy. It's it's oh, it's still hard to see the chat. Okay, hold on. Wait, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think I got one. Hold on, y'all. Is that better? It's the slippers for me. Wait, let me look at the. Hey. When does Erica not belong in the corner? Yo, could you hear me walking around? She clearly wasn't walking around, right? That was the problem. Could you imagine rolling around with them bunny slippers? Looking like a candy cane? Looking like the Energizer Bunny? And she wants to call other people a POS and a hater. Girl, there's not a single picture on the internet with me looking like this. Not one, child. And my mama is still here. This is crazy. Hey you.
Hey, you.
Y'all, Ivory's gonna come up and We're gonna open up the panel to some people. Hey, Lexi, how are you? What are you typing?
I'm tapping the screen, Mama.
Oh. Oh, you hear click, 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 click.
Look, I'm
I'm
dedicated.
like, what is that?
I am dedicated.
Finally, Ivory's here.
Hey, Mersey.
I feel like I sent 10 invites to Ivory.
Hello.
Hey, friend.
What's going on?
Nothing much. So, we are going to work on the rest of that stuff over the weekend.
Yes.
So, y'all, we're gonna have something coming out for you guys next week. Okay.
Sounds really interesting.
Over interesting.
I'm intrigued.
I think they will be.
Yeah.
They will be. But I want to know anyone that's on here that thinks Gypsy Rose is innocent. Can you type in the chat why? And not innocent, or you feel like she should not have went to prison. Type in the chat why. Because I really want to hear this. They're saying hell no. Hey, Elf. Candace Star said innocent.
Stop it, Candace.
I really would love to hear. I feel like the people, innocent is insane. In fact, innocent is diabolic. But you know what I do think is very interesting is how she was in the comment section saying earlier today that she was done speaking to someone about a 10-year-old case.
Clean up, please.
Oops, sorry, hang on.
Girl,
Yeah.
you're still on parole. So this is still current day. Hey, CJB.
I feel like she's in these comments talking about. She did make a comment that I saw where she said something, and I'm not. This isn't a quote, but something along the lines that he was going to end up doing it anyway because of I don't know. He was going to end up doing it.
Which he absolutely wasn't, but she would.
But then you could say the same for you, Gypsy.
Exactly.
You would have ended up doing it anyway as well.
Well, I mean, how nice of it was her, though, to, help that along for him. I'm just saying.
Okay,
She's so
someone wants
thoughtful.
to come up. Let's hope this person's not unhinged. I'm gonna let her talk.
I'm ready for it. Just let me loose.
Oh, I'm Jess.
Hey, Jess.
Jess.
I'm not unhinged. Am I allowed to cuss or no?
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. I can cuss, are we sure?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think you're fine.
I think this bitch is fucking crazy.
Okay.
I think she is writing. Oh, I just joined in the conversation, but I've been watching this shit for a hot ass minute. And this girl got some damn balls on her, y'all.
That's an understatement, to really be honest with you. Like,
She got some damn balls, y'all.
it's just, and it's weird because the fact that the media has played into it makes you really wonder, is like, are y'all not seeing this? Because she's hiding in plain sight.
It's because the media is hiding that shit, like the real shit. They're hiding it. And no matter how many like TikTok influencers come out and speak about it, the idea is that Lifetime and this and that and whoever, they've got a bigger corporation, I feel like.
Hey, Britt. I think the fact that the FOIA came out though is
I've been trying to keep up with that, but like, if I'm being honest, I haven't been able to keep up with that as much as I'd like to.
okay. So the FOIA shows a lot, right? And one of the things that the FOIA really points out, and I think my biggest takeaway from it was the fact that she had a video, and there was a video that she did, and the investigators watched the video, and in the video she was talking to Nicholas Godejohn, explaining to him that from the time she was 6 years old she ended up having a surgery. When she came out of the surgery, the doctor said that she was paralyzed
Okay,
and she didn't
so let me
get
chime
a
in with
seizure.
that.
Uh-huh.
I have epilepsy. I have seizures. I don't know if that's a possible thing or not. I've never been fucking paralyzed from a damn seizure. I've been knocked the fuck out.
I think due to it
And
like being
paralyzed from a seizure. Yeah.
the and to the surgery, like it happened during a surgery, so I
And
think
so,
that may had been it, right? So she says that she didn't have feeling in her legs and stuff at that time, and when she did get the feeling back, she did not tell her mom.
and this was at 6 years old.
Yes, I that's what blew me, because I was like, wait, what?
If you're 6 years old, let me think back just to being 6 years old.
It's
If
diabolical.
if you're 6 years old, your mindset is like living in a world of being
Dolls and stuff,
invincible.
right? I wasn't on
Yes,
that type of time. But
I
then
wasn't.
Ivory said that she had worked in a psych unit with kids and they were like that.
So
Were
yeah.
they like played along with shit just to get attention? Like, who was the fraud? Was
No,
it her or
no,
her
no.
mom?
That's not
Her.
what it was. It's when kids are born with a psychological disorder, their way of thinking is completely different. We can't fathom how they think because we don't think like them. I had a patient one time, and it was a little girl, and she was there for wanting to unalive her grandmother. And I remember I was taking the report, and I'm like, all right, let me go see this girl. Like, there's no way. Sweet little girl. She was playing. She was being all kinds of kitty. You know what I mean? Like, just doing the whole 6 year, kid thing. She was about 6 or 7. And when I took her in for a one-to-one to speak with her, she became someone completely different. Talking about how, I was like, well, why did you do that to your grandma? And I was trying to speak on her level and everything. And she turned around. She's like, because I wanted her dead. I wanted to see all the red stuff drip from her neck. And it was
She
just
wanted a
really
dad
sad.
what?
She wanted her dead. She wanted to watch all of the I don't want to say it on the live, the red stuff drip out from her neck. And she's going to unalive her. And she said it with such a conviction, you're dead, staring me dead in the eyes with such a matter of fact, like, yeah, I'm gonna unalive her. Like, I just want to see the blood run out of her neck. And it's just like, this little girl was 2 seconds ago playing in a group of kids playing with blocks. And now you're sitting here with it was just wild. And it was so disturbing to me. And I remember sitting there going, how did that just happen? And they were like, and they had to explain it to me because I just wasn't picking it up. I was like, I get psychological disorder, but what was that? And they were like, because her brain's not wired like ours.
And you know what? At the end of the day, that may be something that people like us.
I think she paused it and didn't know.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. That just like it blows my mind because where the fuck was I going with it? It makes you think about the criminal mindset that these is it just natural to them? Because my mind is not a criminal mindset, so I cannot comprehend it whatsoever.
Exactly. So when people are like, she was only 6 years old when she said that, like she was only six, that didn't really happen. No, it absolutely did. You know, she made the decision at 6 years old to continue manipulating people, even though she knew she could feel her legs. She liked the attention and she manipulated them. Because that
So
is how
y'all
her
think
brain is
she was
wired.
the main one to? Oh, I see it. Because if she would have spoke up and said something to her mom, then her mom wouldn't have done all this extra bullshit about saying.
Exactly. And it makes sense as to why they tried to run with Munchausen. And because when you think about it, if your kid says they don't feel well and something's wrong, you go to the doctor, you're like, you need to figure out what's wrong with my kid.
Absolutely, because that's your motherly instinct, is to do what the hell you got to do to take care of your kid.
Right.
And if our
Right.
kid comes to us and says, Mommy, my tummy still hurts, I got a bellyache, and the doctor says to me, well, there's no reason for her to have a bellyache. I'm like, well, my child has a bellyache, fix it. There's something causing my child pain, and it's your job to figure it out. And that's exactly what was happening, just on a larger scale. Obviously, it wasn't just a bellyache, but that's the point.
So
She was
y'all,
the one lying about the symptoms, and Dee Dee was like, well, she's complaining about this. Now, what is it?
I really feel like also, and I know that this wouldn't have necessarily been admissible in court, um, a lie detector test.
So I feel like when you're able to manipulate and you're a pathological liar like she is, like she lies for no reason. She lies just to lie. Sometimes the lies she tells, like we've all seen her lie. Some of the lies don't
I've
even make
seen her
sense.
lie. She does lie just to lie, but there's a point between being able to lie and kind of like, I believe in energy. I believe in being able to read people, and if you're bullshit with me, I can point it out in a second. It's a matter
Right.
of like,
I
can
think for a
you?
lie detector test, I don't know that she even would
I think
register in a
she
lie detector
believes her
test.
lies that she says so
She
much
creates them and
that
makes them
she
a
would
reality.
pass.
The problem is
Yes.
she lies so much about the exact like things that she's told, like said something else about, which is why I think she'd give herself away.
Yeah, a lie detector test because our body naturally reacts to our lying. Our heart rate starts increasing because we're like in our mind is thinking. So our heart rate and our body reacts to the lie because our brain it knows it's a lie. Now with her, she comes out, it's so simple for her to lie. Her body's not going to react to it because she doesn't have that same guilt reaction that the average person has.
You think that even though, like, the body language expert is able to pick it up?
Say that one more time. I didn't. Say that one more time. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Even though the body language expert is able to pick it up?
So again, I think
Absolutely.
that she's able to pick it up because that's a natural response. She's not thinking that anybody's watching her doing that. So she's not playing it. Where she would a lie detector test.
Oh,
Like, I honestly feel like she would crumble underneath a lie detector test, to be honest.
No, I think she would.
Well, I'm not sure, because that like puts a whole different mindset into the situation of she's a natural born liar and a natural born fooler, but when she's put up to the test, I don't know if y'all can watch her body language and shit, but she kind of like folds in a little bit when
yeah,
she's.
because when she's unsure of stuff, I feel like she also tries to do like a data collection on what she said, but she can't keep up with everything, so it's not possible.
Yes. She's. Oh, it seems like she. Okay. I'm fascinated with how people's brains work. I'm fascinated with body language. I'm not no body language expert, but call me an empath, whatever. I can point a bullshitter out when I see a damn bullshitter.
Yeah, she for sure. And I think the thing with her when she's BSing, what makes it so much easier to like kind of pick up on it is the fact that she will go from one extreme of a lie to another. For example, and this is something I was thinking of this morning in terms of Mike Stanfield. The 60-minute interview that she did, she had said in that interview that she never lied. She never showed, never had a video on how to jab Nicholas Godejohn. Mike Stanfield saw that interview, and Mike Stanfield said in his own interview when he saw that it was a hard pill for him to swallow.
Isn't that why he said there was no way he'd be able to like put her up on for
Understand exactly.
because he freaking knew that if she were to stand up there and testify
Exactly.
for real, shit was about to go down.
Exactly.
Which makes you think about the higher situation, like the politics and shit.
Girl, it's okay. So we've been doing a deep dive on it, and I'm telling you, it's very deep.
I'm fascinated by this stuff. I am so fascinated by it. Like, I'm such a deep thinker, it's ridiculous. And I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that little girl right there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the thing that's sad is that they let her out, and I don't think they realize how much of a menace she is to society. Like she's a problem.
She still is. And I don't know, like, did y'all watch that last live on that she was doing with, what's his name, Ken? From the airing of the show, and he was like sitting next to her, this and that.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Her, every time he got close to her or something, or showed some type of affection, she would kind of glance and be like, see, I've got me a man that's showing attention. But then every time that quit, it was kind of like, I don't know if I can truly sell this to the world.
Well, here's the thing. She could try to show us whatever she wants on the internet, right? But the reality
I can see her
is,
weakness, though. I can see her weakness behind her mind.
yes. Because also, I mean, the thing about it is you can't ever get rid of Ken's body language. And furthermore, Ken is not a straight man.
I've seen stuff about that also. I know his body language does not exactly scream alpha or anything like that to me. But he's also, where's he originally from?
Georgia.
Oh, so he's originally like a Southern man, right?
Yes. And he lived in an area of Seattle, allegedly. Somebody reached out to me that knows him and said that the area that he lived in was a safe space for happy people.
Okay. Oh, shit. Okay, so either way, left or right, I don't care if a person is attracted to this person or that person. I think at the end of the damn day, if you cut us all open with our skin color, our sexuality, our mindset, whatever, we bleed the same damn color blood. We go through the same life struggles. We go through the same mental struggles. They're just built differently. So if he is that way, go ahead, do your thing, live your life.
No, but the thing is, I think ultimately it's that he struggles within himself with that relationship.
I saw I saw something to say where somebody had said something about talking about Ken and his closet was made of glass. Like, bitch, we can see it left and right, but you're still hiding.
Well, I think because it's probably his family.
And that all comes down to like mind control at the end of the damn day, and tradition, and what is inbred in you to believe what is right and what's not right.
Well, you know, walking your truth, whatever it is, like to me, it's just walking your truth. You don't, you know what I'm saying? Like it's never that serious.
That's all that matters. But like the older generation or the people that raised us, like I'm 37. I don't know how old y'all are.
Okay, so I'm a year older than you.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
Bitch, for
I'm
real?
86. Yep.
Well, you look amazing.
That's funny. Thank you.
I think it's the older generation that raised us that put us in this mindset that we need to live this certain way, that we need to do this, and if we're not, then we're doing things all wrong, and that can cause some type of depression, that can cause some type of identity crisis, that can cause a whole bunch of shit. And apparently it seems like he might be hiding that because it wasn't taught to him that it was okay to live your life the way you freaking
Well,
want.
his mom came on Alive, right? And said that she always wanted a happy son and she was okay with it, right? And I feel as though she came on there to say that to make him comfortable,
Because she was kind of picking up on it.
right? So I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying, I'm speculating, right? But that's my opinion. Why I think she said that is just to kind of say, well, you know, whatever it is, I'm gonna love you anyway, right? So I do think his mom is like accepting no matter what. But it just makes you wonder because it's it's not even just like I don't know. Like, have you like really watched the show and seen his like interaction?
I've watched the show. I've seen his interactions. I've seen some of her live videos. I've seen some of the shit that Brian posts about Nina. I follow you, but I just know there's some damn bullshit going on, and somebody needs to buy some wipies, whether it be on his side or her side.
I think it's both of them. At first, I thought Ken was probably a decent person that just got caught up with the wrong person.
I thought Ken was like originally from the north because he didn't have those standard, typical southern
Oh,
views, I guess.
especially not from Georgia.
Right? Hang on just a second. My kids are. Hang on. Mother!
Yeah, like he doesn't give Georgia at all.
I give Georgia whatsoever. He gives more like northern, like, what'd you say? One of those,
Well, I do know he lived in Seattle. I don't know if it was a brief period of time. But I know he lived in Seattle.
I wonder how long he actually lived there.
I know that he lived there during some time that Gypsy was in prison because when Ivory read one of her Gypsy's letters from prison to someone else, she said that her friend from Seattle was coming to visit her, and that had to be him. You remember that, Ivory?
Yeah, it was him.
I do remember that. Y'all, give me just one more second. Hang on just a moment.
I have a mess.
Someone said Ken is a material girl. Why are they like this?
I have a medal.
Hey, Gio.
I have a medal.
Girl, he got a medal at soccer yesterday, so he feels like everybody needs to know.
I told you, it's his major award.
Really?
He slept in that medal, okay? Like slept in the medal.
I do.
What, Ivory?
Yeah, good job.
I just need to let y'all know I'm really sorry. I'm one of those people who has ADHD. Well, no, I have ADD. I can't pay attention. I'm fascinated by how like the brain works, and there's no freaking telling on what type of rabbit trail I get like will go on.
No, trust me, I get it because that's me with Ivory all the time. Like I had, especially at night. So I totally get it. Trust me. You don't
Okay,
have to explain
as
it.
long as I'm not the oddball out, like y'all, I'm not unhinged or anything. But
No, I get it. Trust me, I get it.
okay.
No, but it's all good. I appreciate you coming up.
Thank you so much for having me
No
up. I can
problem.
drop if you want me to. I didn't mean to like.
I don't even know how to do that.
You want me to drop down?
Yeah, if you want.
I don't mind one bit.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank y'all,
you.
ladies. Thank you
All
so much
right.
for
Good
having me.
night.
Bye, y'all.
Can
Bye.
you get off this room?
You know, out of all the people in the chat, you know somebody's watching that is a Gypsy fan. And that's who I really am interested in hearing from. I would love to have someone come up here
I have to see.
Yes, I would.
who
I
actually
would
believes
love
in
to
anything.
hear a Gypsy fan come up.
Now we know they're in here on them burners. I've seen two.
Yep,
Two.
yep.
Come on, y'all.
I would love for someone's.
And I'm just controversial. I see both sides. Allie, do you sway to one side more than the other?
What is this?
Because I don't see how you could.
I was in a live earlier today, and there was someone in there who was spitting the facts, right? But spitting the facts from the documentary. And I'm just sitting there and I'm listening to it all, and I'm taking it in, and I'm like, well, where'd you get your information? Well, it's true, it's the facts. I watched the documentary and I'm like, oh Lord. You know, it's wild the way people take these movies and these documentaries, these one sided, and they run with it like it's gospel. It's just wild to me.
Someone said you can't see both sides. You really can't. Because if you see both sides, all you could see is a miscarriage of justice.
I can see people who don't have too many of the facts, maybe like wanting to believe her, but they don't because of being swayed, or vice versa. I think that usually means that you believed one way, but you're starting to see the facts of the other side. So I think that you can think both ways, but that's usually when you're about to be swayed from one side to the other.
I see.
Right, right. Because the thing is, if you present someone the facts, right, and just the facts, that can't really, you know what I'm saying? Like because it's very
Right, but I think a
clear.
lot of people have, they think what they know to be facts. Again, the documentary, like a lot of people believe documentaries and think that they're like, they go and they do all this investigation like they're 100% fact, and they're not. We know that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
But especially with this is one of those things where you really learn what's what, because the court documents say something very, very different.
But if you don't see that, you don't know that. You're only looking at the very superficial top of this whole thing, and you're just watching a bunch of content creators go back and forth. I can see how people are like, well, yeah, I see your point, Ivory. Oh, well, Bree, I see your point too. You know what I mean? It's like, that's when you know that you need to do a little bit more digging and really look into things.
And even just the fact that I think I think at the end of the day, if you saw absolutely nothing, right, and you don't know too much on this, right, I think the sheer fact that there's a lot of contradictions in every one of her interviews should be a huge red flag to you.
I agree. And my whole thing is, I mean, are people just watching them and not picking up on them? Because, I mean, if you watch the Dr. Phil interview, she contradicts herself from one sentence to the next. It's wild. So I'm like, are you just watching it for background noise and then believing the little sentence that you heard? Or are you actually watching it? Because if you actually watch it, she's inconsistent through the whole interview.
Right. And it's her interviews are so vastly different, but I also think what people really don't pay attention to is her behavior post prison.
Her behavior post.
Okay, somebody wants to come up. Let's see. Please don't be unhinged. Okay, hello.
Hey, love.
How are you?
How do we believe certain things off that documentary and not all of it?
Well, here's the thing though. The documentary is swayed one way, right? And it's more based off of like what the media has put out there versus the actual facts, right? It's them just trying to coerce the public, basically. So for someone to say that the documentary,
I get it, but like sometimes like people use like those facts off the documentary and then they're like, oh no, that documentary wasn't real.
Well, it's based off the narrative of the plea deal, to be honest. That's exactly what it is. Everything from that plea deal on has been based off that narrative.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you believe what they said in that plea deal and the reason they gave it to her, then, I mean, that's those facts. But there's so much now to back up, you know, the alternative, which is the truth. There's so much in this FOIA that they've been reading for the last, week and a half.
No, but like people always are like, in the documentary, do you see like X, Y, and Z happen, right? Or like...
Yeah. And like I just said, that's based off the narrative of the plea deal. So that's a really good reaction to have when someone says that.
The documentary is a one-sided story, and they tell a very good story. Unfortunately, the amount of facts they have in there are not backed up. So what they're running and telling people are facts, and you believe they're facts because it's in a documentary, and we give documentaries a lot more credit than they deserve. Because we hear documentary, we think investigation and facts, but it's not the case. They're telling a story, and they're trying to sway you to believe it, but a lot of the things that people consider to be facts told in that documentary are actually not facts.
I know, but like we like reference to the cabinet in the documentary, right? Like, and then we're like, did you notice anything about that cabinet? So we can't like reference a documentary if like we don't believe.
Well, if the cabinet was actually pictures coming straight out of the crime scene, that is a fact, right? If that's a crime scene picture that we've seen coming out of the crime scene and not just the documentary, how could that not be a fact?
Oh, but like how many is like actually from crime scenes versus just a documentary?
All of the crime scene pictures are posted from the police department, so that's how you would know.
Now, what they did with that picture of the medicine cabinet, you guys remember that picture?
Yes.
They sat there and they showed that in the documentary to show how many medications she was on and all the medications that were being used that Dee Dee was trying to, just give to her for no reason. However,
no, I do not like. I think she should be out of prison, 100%. But I also
Lisa, Ivory, finish real quick. She has a really good point to make here.
All right, thanks.
But what people don't think about is that's the story they told with that medicine cabinet. But when you look at that medicine cabinet, what do you see? it's true, you do see a lot of medications, but what people don't understand is
As on
you see
open bottles, right? Like if there's
all
like
unopened bottles, and you don't hoard medications. They're not given in that quantity. And so that means those medications that were still closed and not open were never given.
no, I get it, but like at the same time, like we can't like reference documentaries and be like, oh yes, this is what we believe, and then be like, that's not the reality. That's not the truth, right?
Right.
Like I don't think Gypsy Rose should be free by all means. I think that she was a master manipulator in all of the things that she's done, right? But there's a lot of people in here like referencing like this documentary. For what?
Well, the documentary, I'm not sure who is referencing it as a point of reference because the documentaries, none of them have actually been factual, and everybody knows that. Well, not everybody, but the people that really know what happened that have been following this know that it's not reputable. Like, I don't send anyone to go watch the documentaries.
Do you reference them at all?
No.
Me neither.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, I don't reference to the because I don't. There was no accuracy in them.
Yeah. I mean, but like at times, like people are like, did you remember like the documentary where she was like walking or she was in the snow and like whatever, right?
Well, only the picture, but see, some of that stuff isn't just the documentary. That's actually her actual pictures, right? But not anything where they were saying this is what it was and somebody else was playing that, unless there's actual evidence to back that up aside from the documentary. I wouldn't deem the documentary as being accurate at all whatsoever.
It's the context in which they use the pictures and stuff like that. You got to watch the context in which they use it. Like the medicine cabinet, they used it in one context, but in fact it wasn't the truth. But in fact it wasn't the truth. So you have to watch. They put in the true pictures, but what context are they using it in?
Well, in every every lie, there's always some truth there, right? Like
Every moon in the sun, and then there's the truth, right?
Right. Right. So it's like, there's something in there. But honestly, even with the documentaries, I don't know how much I could say that I feel as though the people that were even in it really knew the truth.
Do you feel like it's a real people to her life, though?
What?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Like, is it like actual people that knew her?
Well, think about it this way. Rod and Christy were in the documentary, right? But
They have babies.
truth be told, they really didn't know her, right? Like, she didn't spend real time with Rod and Christy until after she came out of prison. So although that was her dad, she didn't really know that man.
But why do you think he
Help
accepted
tell
her
a
back
story.
in his life?
Listen, they
Because
put
this
it in the bag.
money
Sorry, what?
is a moneymaker.
Exactly. Rod
Do you think
said
everybody is like trying to make money off this?
Let me ask you this. If you think that he took her because he loves her, where was he for the first 23 years of her life?
And also, Ivory did a live where Rod came on, and Ivory, can you quote what he said at the end of that?
We were talking about what is her story. Her story's constantly changing. She's out here on Lifetime. Like, what is this supposed story? And ultimately, his response to me was, the story is whatever they're willing to pay for. Quote
And
unquote.
that was directly out of his mouth.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing like everybody's in this for money, right?
So let me
That's
ask you,
your
why do
opinion.
you think they're in it? Why do you think they took her?
Maybe it's 'cause that's her baby.
But was she?
Wasn't she his baby for the first 23 years of her life? If it really was that she was being abused by Dee Dee, then where was he? Because isn't he responsible then for the neglect and abuse? Because he walked out and never turned back to care. Dee Dee told him that she was dying and he never went to check on her, never went to an appointment, never showed up. So is it because he loves her? Because where was he loving her the
Oh, I
first
think
23 years?
Gypsy like manipulated a bunch of people, right? Like I feel like for that, like they manipulated so many people. I
Okay,
think
so
in
how as a parent could you be manipulated into staying away from your sick and or dying child? Explain that to me.
maybe I can't. Like I have
Well, I'm
trust.
just saying. I
I
mean,
can't.
you're saying that she was manipulative, obviously. But how? What would it take for you to be manipulated to stay away, go
I
float
also
on
have
a
a like
boat, and move on with your
deadbeat
life and
dad.
have more kids? Explain it.
I also have a deadbeat dad that like literally comes around when they're 18, right? Like just had that with my child.
So who does that sound like?
Yeah, you're right.
I am right. You're welcome.
Jim, you don't got it.
I mean, I'm not trying to be like negative. I'm not trying to be in like
No, and I'm not either. I'm just right.
I think it's good when people question things like that. And then you get, you know what I mean? Because then you
Yeah.
see it. Like, I get it. Like they took her because they love her, but when you really that's when you got to not stop the questions, but start asking more. Well, if he loved her though, then why didn't he love her when
yeah.
she was for the first 23 years? Now, if he showed up and he actually loved her, maybe the abuse wouldn't have happened. Maybe the unaliving wouldn't have happened. Maybe all of that would never have happened, and his daughter wouldn't be a murderer if he had showed up. Because I do think that a lot of her attention needing is daddy issues. My daddy wasn't there. My daddy left me, and he left another daughter, and then he went and raised a family with Christy, and they have this great life with a mommy and daddy, and I was left with no father who didn't care.
Do you feel a little bit of sympathy to that at all?
About
Do
Gypsy
I?
not having no. That girl's
Yes,
diabolic.
I
Sympathy
do.
for what? I
I
don't
mean,
I
understand.
feel
just like the
sympathy
daddy
because,
issue. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
just in
I
general.
I don't think anybody should feel like their parent doesn't love them.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that that is the basis of her issues? No, I think she was born psychologically ill. However, I
Yeah.
do believe that her father leaving made that psychological disorder even worse and could have very well
Been a
been
part of her
one of
life,
those
right?
things that one of the pieces of straw that broke the camel's back.
Everybody's saying no, but like I mean, I have daddy issues too, right? But like at the same time, I'm not gonna go and unalive my mom.
You know, if you're going to be honest, you got to be 100% honest, though. We all watched that video when she was little of her seeing her dad, nobody's paying attention, and now I'm going to fall to the floor. She was
Yeah.
doing that because she knew who her father was. She also knew she had siblings that her dad would lived with. So do I really believe that at some point that my not having a dad around that cared enough, and especially for someone who loves attention the way she does, to not get it from the man in her life that's supposed to love her more than anything? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that helped the issue. I really do. I think she was born psychologically ill, and that just added to the pile.
Yeah. Do you feel like she's doing that with her baby now too?
I don't know that she can
Comprehend.
emotionally with that
Yeah.
child, in my opinion. I think she tries to look good with the kid. I think it's a prop for her. I don't know what it is about always needing a baby and wanting a baby, because she's wanted a baby always. It's always been like an obsession for her, buying baby
Avery, do
clothes.
you really not know why? Like, I feel like for her, she was feel like she was abused as a child. Like, was she? Maybe not. Like, she was at a certain point. Everybody has to admit, like, at some point she was abused, right?
I feel like
Rather,
she is the product of bad parenting. Like Dee Dee wasn't a good
yes,
parent at all.
exactly. So,
However, I do believe that because of her hypersexuality, even as a child,
mhm.
I feel like that wanting a baby plays a little bit deeper than just I got daddy issues, so I want a baby, or I feel neglected, I want to love something, because I don't think she can.
But can you
I
guys
think she's
honestly
grown
like
up.
relate to like feeling neglected by your parents? Like, it's a weird feeling, right? Like, I had it, and now I'm an
Yes.
amazing mom, and I'm breaking the
I'm not.
cycle.
I'm not saying she can't. I'm not.
See,
I'm
you're
not saying
comparing yourself to her
to
because
her.
of
You're
your
trying to
own
relate.
personal issue, and you can't because you also didn't unalive your mom. You
No, no,
also
no.
didn't offer your kids up for some man's actual pleasure. So how is that this like you can't compare that?
That's you
I'm
did it
just
too.
saying, like, her, like, wanting a child and, like, this other, like, demonic, like, side of her, like, I do not agree. She should not be allowed.
She should not be what? I didn't catch the last of that.
Sorry, I had a call. I don't agree with a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, like, too, like, we have to realize, like, we need to break this cycle, right? And, like, do we think she's doing it? Absolutely not.
No, she's not capable of it. Because
And I
it's a
think
break
that's where
cycle that means
people
you
are
care
missing
enough.
it. Because when you really, really, really understand what narcissism and psychopaths and sociopaths, how they operate, you know that those aren't people that change. That's just the core of who they are. And people always think that they can change somebody, but if they don't wear a diaper, you can't change anybody.
I know, agreed. 100%. I also feel like at the end of the day, like, this is not somebody we should be idolizing. And this is not someone that we should be like, oh my gosh, I wish I was a mom like you. You know what I mean? Like, so.
She wants to influence people, but I need everyone to remember what happened the last time this woman influenced anybody to do anything. Somebody died.
And not even okay, even if you put that to the side, let's and I'm not saying that in disregard of a life. Well, I'm just saying let's put that to the side for a second, right? And let's just solely focus on everything she's done since she's gotten out of prison. In my opinion,
The 5 years in 1 year.
facts.
Everybody has mental health issues in, like, this case, right? So why'd she get out earlier than he did?
So this is really a political thing, honestly. It's local politics. You got to keep in mind the DA ended up on Mommy Dead and Dearest 2 days before Nicholas GODEJOHN'S trial. I would assume he was paid to show up on there, right? Why would the DA that's getting ready to try a case of her co-defendant show up? That should tell you it's very political.
Wait for his, like, documentary to come out, actually.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think when things really do come out, people are really going to be blown at all the things going on behind the scenes, and it's even more political than what people envision right now. It's way worse than that.
Like, people, like, was, like, standing there and been like, we support Gypsy Rose because she had Munchausen syndrome, which is not true, right?
Right.
So, like, he felt some type of way.
I think what it is at the end of the day, it's to me, I think that there was more of there was a promise of some sort of money in the future. There was, period. There had to be, because why would HBO
Did you really think it was that, or did you think that there was so much press on this that they were like, we're not touching this?
For HBO to get involved, and you have to think 2 days before next trial, that's a strategy. That's not
There was people rallying outside and being like, oh my gosh, she was Munchausen syndrome. You guys should let her free. You remember that?
So I actually wasn't privy to. I remember hearing about this case. I didn't know the girl's name. I didn't know her mom's name. I did not find out more about it until she was getting ready to be released. I did see people were doing that, but I also think it's because Munchausen by proxy is, first of all, that's not easy to diagnose, right? But also, when you really think about it, what actual 100% case of Munchausen by proxy has been put out there in the media to where we've been privy to?
I mean, I feel like there's been a couple now. I don't think it was before Gypsy Rose. I think that Gypsy Rose was the first one to claim that, right? And then social media went crazy. We watched like everybody being like outside of like her trial, like being like, free Gypsy, free Gypsy. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there's a whole like thing
I
about
saw that there was a petition in like a GoFundMe, but I did not actually know the free Gypsy part initially.
it. Yeah, it
People
was.
were very upset that they felt like she should be free because she was an abuse victim. She was a survivor of abuse, and they felt like it was all justified and that she shouldn't be she shouldn't have had to do time.
Well, the story sounded good initially, right? And not really, when you really look into the details, you could kind of see it. But the issue is a lot of people relate to it because of their own personal abuse. And so because they can relate, it kind of jades the way some people look at it.
People believe her because they're victims themselves of something that they relate to with her, and they want to believe that people can survive it.
Yes.
Unalive someone just to be like that person, right? Like at the end of the day, like the judge went against everyone else because there was such a social media following on this, and like there was such a like a big skew to like everybody's like opinion, beliefs, blah blah blah, and then uh right after she got out of prison, she had a really following of like social media that supported her. What happened?
They happened. Christy
That was
happened.
weird. To be
Happened.
honest with you, when you really think back to that, that was very weird. Because even, let's say she was a victim of Munchausen by proxy, right? When she came out, should society have been praising her? No.
Oh, should she be given a reality show that, first of all, even if she was a victim, it had nothing to do with that.
I
It
feel
was
like they're
for
not supposed to
notoriety.
profit off that, right? They're
Well,
not supposed
because the
to
show
profit off their
technically has
murder.
nothing to do with the unaliving. It has to do with her personal life. And what then again, people only know who she is because of the crime she committed. And that's how they justify it, is because she doesn't talk about the unaliving or the crime.
That's not true. Like it's all over the place. Like even if you look at like every documentary, she's talking about the unaliving of her mom.
Well, we
Right.
also don't have a Son of Sam law in the state of Missouri where the crime happened and where she was convicted.
Oh, in Missouri? Oh, yeah, I think I do
Yeah,
remember.
we do not have that law in Missouri, so people
A lot
actually
of states,
can profit.
yeah, a lot of states don't follow that law anymore because they think it goes against their amendment rights.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, a lot of states have
What right
challenged
do you
that law.
have? Like you unalived your mom. Like, bro, what?
I think it's one of those things where it's because most unalivings wouldn't be your mom, or a lot of crimes wouldn't be necessarily towards your parent. I think that this is one that she just ended up lucking up being in the crossfire, if that makes sense.
That's not like a crossfire, right? Like if I hire like a hitman tomorrow to unalive my partner, do I get more time than Gypsy Rose?
Absolutely, which is the irony of this all.
So like what? Why is she profiting off of it?
You know
Like
what's
I could go
crazy?
profit off of like murdering my dude, right? Or my babies.
You know what, though?
I would never do that.
Honestly, you would have got
Ever.
life, likely.
If you extort money, you'll get more time than Gypsy Rose. Who takes
Yep.
away life?
Well, if you sell rugs, you get more time.
I act like I'm like mentally unstable to like get millions and millions and millions of doll hairs.
What?
No,
Thing like if
no.
I like murdered people, right? Like, can I like claim that I'm mentally unstable and like get millions and millions of doll hairs from it?
Well, I'm not going to give you a roadmap to it, but do you?
Doing that. I love my babies, by the way.
So about somebody call FBI.
That's what she did, and like nobody like looks at it the other way, right?
I
So
think a
if you
lot of people do, but the problem is the way the media has spun the whole story, and essentially, the media is the biggest issue in this.
so versus like sitting on lives, like how do we get this judge to be like, oh no, that wasn't right?
I honestly think the judge, it wasn't really about whether Gypsy was right or wrong. I think it was, I'm telling you, it had something to do with politics and money. It wasn't about what was right or wrong. It wasn't about what was ethical. It wasn't about she committed this crime and she should. No, it was very political. It had nothing to do with anything else.
Appreciate that, but at the same time, like I feel like the judge needs to be held accountable.
Oh no, there's a lot of people. There's actually there was a petition for the judge before he retired. He retired now, but there was a petition trying to get the judge impeached. Okay, so, and the interesting part about is the petition was basically saying that he did not hold the real criminals accountable. So I think that it wasn't this wasn't the first case that he did something allegedly unethical. But you know how local elections and stuff go. It's only certain people that actually get out and take it serious. So
I know I
you
love that, but like at the end of the day, like how do we actually like hold this person and that person like accountable versus lives on TikToks versus like you know what I mean? Like she should not be free. Everybody like if you look at Nick, right? Like we get it. Like Nick has like mental like unstable like things happening in his brain, right?
Mhm.
But do you actually think that Nick was the like powerhouse behind that?
No.
No, and I think everybody knows that. And that's why I say it's not about logic and it's not about what's right or wrong. This and when it comes to judges, a lot of people feel like they can hold judges accountable for things, right? And it's not that easy because you can't even sue judges. You can sue the state, but you can't actually go after the judges. There's not really that much accountability that happens with judges. And if that was the case, you wouldn't see a lot of cases end up the way they do.
That's all I have to say. Ugh.
Yeah, judges are. It's very hard to get judges to be held accountable because they're exempt from like lawsuits or anything that would you could sue them for literally just an apology, and I mean that like literally.
No, this is not just an apology. This is like,
The problem is and it honestly in this case it wasn't just the judge, it was the jury, it was the DA,
yeah.
it wasn't just the judge.
I
And
also feel like when she came out of prison, like there was so much support for her. Like, right? Like, she was abused by her mom and she was doing X Men. That's not true. That's not true. So whoever her lawyer was, kudos to them, I guess.
It wasn't even, so that's the thing. It wasn't even her lawyer. Like this was worked out on a political stunt. The attorney was a public defender and wasn't that, and we have some information that we will drop soon. We're just trying to get all the information together, which will make a lot of this make more sense, because I understand where you're coming from, where you're kind of like just trying to figure out, well, how could this really just happen the way it happened and no one's held accountable, and it's kind of like, oh well. But it's just much deeper than that.
I love you, but I feel like Nick was held accountable. Like, and we had like I think like 7 wounds from him, and then whatever came out of that. So
Okay, what?
I feel like Nick had a part in it, right?
Well, clearly.
So he only had like 4 wounds put to her. So where'd the other wounds come from?
Well, that's the question. And Nick
I'll be
wasn't
right
just
back.
held accountable. Nick is also doing Gypsy's time. Let's be honest.
100%. So at the end of the day, I feel like we also like that like judge should be held accountable.
Well, like Nina explained, there's really nothing you can do to him. You know, they can't be sued. They can step down. They can do whatever. But what's done is done there. But it's bigger than just one judge. It's bigger than all of that. I think the surface has been scratched. Let's just put it that way.
Honestly, I think that the DA had more to do with it than the judge did.
100%.
Probably because she's going online and she's making $10 million a day, right?
Well, no, that's not exactly accurate. She's making money, but it's not quite
Yes.
that
Like whatever she's making. Like, so everybody's like agreeing on this or no?
Who's agreeing on that?
Saying like people send her money.
First of all, I don't even think she should be on the internet. She's an online predator, in my opinion. Okay, so how she concocted this whole plan to unalive her mother on the internet, meeting the guy on the internet. That's where she got her victim, or Nick, from. Like, so she shouldn't even be on the internet, period, point blank, in my opinion, because again, she's an online predator, and that's obvious. That's facts.
Yeah, and it's actually by definition too.
Out here. And again, I think that's what makes the public so pissed off, is the fact that you concocted this entire unaliving. You went through the entire thing. The woman is dead. You're out here and you're making money because of an unaliving that you did with a false narrative to justify you
I have a
taking
question.
his life. And now Nick is sitting in prison for the rest of his life. And again, he should be her hero if her story was true. So why is he still sitting in prison? And then you go through, well, poor Gypsy got only 10 years because she was abused. But what about Nick's abuse? Why didn't that justify anything? He was also abused. He was also raised in a abusive environment.
I have a question. Sorry. Isn't she not supposed to monetize off this?
Just went through that. The Son of Sam law does not apply to that state. And then she gets away with it by the show that she's doing right now has absolutely nothing to do with the unaliving. However, while she was in prison and all the documentaries they did, but it's also a documentary, and that's how she gets away with that.
Funny, because she's like talking about unaliving her mom. So I guess I'm a little confused.
When was she talking about unaliving her mom in public?
I don't know if it's public. She like literally talks about how like she like has Munchausen by syndrome, like whatever. No one cares. So that is
It doesn't.
Oh, where'd she go?
I don't know. I've been watching a lot of lives today, and it's been glitching everywhere.
Yeah, I know that happened in a live I was in earlier.
Yeah, same here.
It all goes back to the politics, Jess. You're absolutely correct. I think this goes a lot farther than what people even. I think that Gypsy's story just happened to come out at the perfect timing. I think Nick, you know what I mean, was the perfect scapegoat. And I think Stanfield just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I don't think Stanfield is no big genius lawyer that, got her off and played out this great trial. No, that didn't happen. In fact, I think he was pretty much fed the defense story about the Munchausen by proxy because they needed to get her off. And then the cheese stands alone.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
back.
you okay? Okay,
Hello.
good.
I can't see.
Oh, Gio.
Jackie, I think Mike is honestly, I think he might be easily manipulated.
Jags.
I don't know if I think that. I think he. I don't. I'm not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Oh, Jackie,
Hello, Ivory. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm good.
Just feels better when Jackie's around.
Hello.
It feels like home.
I don't
That's
know
so
if I'm
funny.
glitching, but you guys were just before, but it just stopped. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think that Stanfield played this big part that everyone thinks he played. Like he can't. I really don't.
No,
I
he.
think he does now. Like I think that they're using him now. Like as the whole manager thing. I think that's all wild, but
I still don't think now he has. I think he plays a part as her manager. But let's be real. Money talks, BS walks. Right? He doesn't really have any money.
he's
So,
not a
how
well-to-do
much
attorney.
power does he have?
That was my point. He has no power. So everyone's like, well, Mike Stanfield did this. No, he didn't. The guy literally was a public defender who was having a crappy day at work, went in and got handed this case, and it just happened to be the best thing that ever happened to him.
I don't know if you could say the best thing.
Mind it is, because look what he thinks it got him.
We all know his name now. We didn't before. That's one thing he's got, I suppose.
But do we all know his name and say, "Oh, well, if I get into trouble, I need to call Mike
No,
Stanfield"?
that's exactly what we're saying. We all, I mean, think about it. The only thing he has going with his career is the fact that he represented Gypsy Rose, and again, there was no litigation there. There was no trial. There was no. I mean, you didn't do much. Totally got the first defense you were going with was completely wrong. And then I believe that somebody handed him that Munchausen by proxy on a silver platter.
Who would have did it though?
Handed him that.
Yeah.
I think Dan Patterson did.
You really think Dan?
I think Dan Patterson needed to get her off.
Okay.
And yeah, that goes into well.
Well, you're probably right, especially considering that Judge David Jones
Down.
recused himself.
Yep.
You're probably right.
Who needed her to get off the most? Who benefited from her getting off the most?
Yeah, because it certainly wasn't Stanfield, because Stanfield didn't get paid to.
know. And the only reason why I think it was the best day of his life is because, look, it got him out of the you know what I mean? Like, it got him out of where he was working, and now he gets to travel around and call himself Gypsy Rose's manager, which, again, is no big deal. But he wasn't a very good attorney, and so, well, it gave him something else that made him money. And an attorney just wasn't doing it for him, in my opinion.
Just this whole situation is just crazy, to be honest with you. But and I think the thing that people really should be paying attention to is her behavior post prison.
Yeah, because her behavior post-prison is just a recirculation of her behavior back then.
Actually,
And it's
to a
and
T.
it's yeah, and except now it's even a little bit more exaggerated, her behavior. Like, it's
Her
getting
behavior
worse.
was wild. Imagine coming out of prison and saying my husband's day is fire. And by the way, I unalived my mum and I was in prison for 8 years. She's embarrassing.
You can think about it.
Literally.
I mean, look at her. She used Nick because she wanted to be with Dan. You guys know my whole theory on that. You know what I mean? She wanted to be with Dan. She used Nick. She wanted to be with Ken. She used Ryan. Like, it's all the same thing all over again. She's manipulating the same ways. She's just escalating and playing it a lot calmer now because you got to be careful because she's on parole. I think she's going to slip up when she gets off of parole, when she thinks that the big dogs ain't watching her.
Yeah. Nina, I've never asked you this, but do you think that Gypsy helped and it wasn't just Nick? Or what do you think? Do you think she sat in the bathroom the whole time?
I actually think that she did most of it before he got there.
That's what I think too.
Especially considering seeing those text messages and the timing. I thought that from the beginning anyway, just because she said, when she said, Dee Dee said, Gypsy, don't hurt me, and like certain things that she said, it was like, why would her mom had said that if there wasn't some type of animosity or some type of drama prior? Like, that's not something you would say to your daughter. Is that, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that was a red flag to me to begin with. But I think that Gypsy was physically abusive towards Dee Dee because she was very sickly way before this. And especially when you think about, like, Dee Dee not having her around a lot of other kids, I think she did that for her, for other people's protection, not Gypsy's protection. I
Yeah.
do think she knew Gypsy was a hot ass, right? And she knew that she had to be careful with that. But I do think she knew that Gypsy was a bad person and she was trying to protect the world from her.
Agree when you say that she was definitely, Dee Dee was being bullied and harmed by Gypsy, because it shows, and there's proof of it, because already she's admitted to pulling a pew pew and a dagger that same day and backing her mother into a corner. That does not show a victim. That shows a perpetrator. That shows
Right,
that Dee Dee was the victim.
right. And you also got to think too, how do you think you emptied out a clip on your mom and then you're like, oh, what's for dinner? Like, things never go back to the same. You know
I
what I'm
thought
saying? Like,
I, Gypsy is not as dumb as people, as she's trying to get people to believe she was back then. I believe that Gypsy knew that that was a BB gun. I believe that she wasn't trying to off her mother. I think she was trying to prove a point to her mother. This is going to go my way or it's going to go no way. And I think she broke those clips into her mother to prove a point, knowing it wasn't going to unalive her, but to show that the threat was real. And that, again, that's part of the manipulation. That's part of taking control of the situation. She was always
you
in
know what? I
control.
never thought about that, but I absolutely could see that.
She was maintaining control over her mother, and that's proof right there. She admitted it. She knew that that was a BB gun. Let's be real.
Mom.
She wasn't dumb. And if she wanted to unalive her and she thought that that gun was going to do it, well, she admitted in her book that she had a knife in her hand too. Well, why didn't she use that if the BB gun didn't work? And she felt so threatened that she needed to unalive her. She would have used a knife in her hand. She admitted she had one. It wasn't to unalive her at that moment. It was to maintain control over Dee Dee.
Also, Gypsy's choice of weapon is horrific. Like she could have chosen a better way or a more peaceful way. Even
Well,
do you know what I mean?
You
Like
see that she said she was considering poison. She was considering arson. She was considering, like, she did consider other things, and that is something that I think is very important to speak on because of the fact that I don't think people realize that this was already what type of time she was on.
That the reason she didn't pick those things was then because she couldn't blame Nick. Because poison takes time. Nobody comes to somebody's house to unalive them and then poisons them in their food. Like, it makes no sense. So she couldn't get away with that and blame Nick. You know what I mean? So, the only thing that made sense to blame Nick was a horrible, like, he came over here and he unalived her with a jabber. That's absolutely what I believe, because otherwise none of those stories would have made sense. So you need to tell me this man traveled from all the way from where he was to you. He came to you just to sit there and spend 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 to poison your mother? Like, that makes no sense. And then you couldn't blame Nick because you were right there watching it. The only thing was the jabbing or shooting, but then shots would have been heard. She would never have gotten away. The knife is the only thing that makes sense to be able to put the blame on Nick.
She could have done the arson though.
Because Nick didn't travel all that way just to give the woman some extra pills. Like, none of it would have made sense.
Yeah, someone said Dee Dee's style of unaliving was born of rage, and Nick didn't have that rage to Dee Dee. And I see that's the part that I don't understand why people have believed that it really was him, because that is the point. It was a crime of passion. He didn't have that passion.
when you think about it, it's like, I hate you, boom, I hate you, I hate you. Imagine I hate you 17 times. Why would he do that?
No, he didn't even, first of all, he felt remorse, right? Nobody that felt remorse that fast would have had that level of rage.
Exactly. And wasn't she naked when she answered the door? Like, so she could easily just wash off all the blood? Like, wasn't she naked?
Yes, she had
Oh,
no.
she was?
She was naked when she
I don't
answered.
remember that.
Yes,
Yeah, she was naked
Yeah.
when she answered the door doing a Dexter.
he was not shaving herself when she was in that bathroom when he was in the room. She did it before he got there. She answered that door completely naked. Naked the entire time.
She was so afraid of her mother waking up, apparently, like, that she's a light sleeper, but yet she was walking around the house naked. Remember when she said in the text messages that Mum's a light sleeper?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
if you're so afraid of your mother, why would you enter that door naked? Why would you do that?
Allowed to have a cell phone, and you were so terrified that you couldn't call the cops because you couldn't. You were so afraid of this woman. You sat there for a year and a half using a cell phone and a computer, and you plotted her entire unaliving, and you weren't afraid she was going to open up your phone.
Well, she did it for over 2.5 years. That's not even a year.
Exactly, Ivory.
You weren't so afraid of your mother that she would find that in your computer, in your laptop. Like, make it make sense. You were so afraid of her. You had no problem planning it, being naked with a guy, doing all these videos, but you were terrified of her. Come on.
Well, how many hundreds of videos had she made of her role playing and dressing up and wearing all the skimpy clothes and, exposing herself and sending all this thing? I mean, how could you do that? I can't even go to the bathroom without 5 people in my house knowing.
so terrified that this woman was
Exactly.
beating you and tying you to a bed, and you were so afraid of her. Meanwhile, you said she was a light sleeper, but you would do these videos when she was sleeping. You weren't making noise with that automatic toothbrush up your hoo-ha. Come on.
Well, according to Amelia that went to prison with her, apparently she'd said, "Do you think I sat in that bathroom the whole time? I got my own in." Do you remember that, Ivory?
Amelia said that? I didn't hear that. Where was that?
I've got the video on my TikTok.
Like of Gypsy's of Amelia
Yeah,
saying
Zora told us. Zora told us, and she told Skippy, she told Morbid, she told everyone.
One of her prison reports that she another inmate reported her, I believe.
you know what? Yes,
That she
yes,
said
yes,
that.
because of the Barney doll and stuff. I remember that. I remember that.
They told her that she got something in. She got hers in. That was part of that report.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you repeat that, Ivory? I don't know. I think that you put your mute on too quick.
Sorry. So when she was in prison, one of the inmates in there with her, remember those reports? We have the reports. They reported her. And they told on her and said that she got some in while she didn't stay in the bathroom. That was in a report that another inmate in the prison reported her for saying that to her.
Yeah.
I believe that was before even her plea deal.
It was after. It was after.
Are you positive?
Positive.
Okay.
I think it was from Chillicothe, so she wasn't in Chillicothe until after the plea deal. Am I correct?
No,
Yeah.
that was Greene County.
No, it was Chillicothe.
Yeah, I think it was.
That report from the inmate was made.
Yeah, it was, what's her name? Melissa? Was it Melissa?
I don't remember her name.
Top
But
of the thing?
I have
I'm
it, yeah.
pretty sure. Because she was reporting them, they were reporting her. She was snitching all sorts of shit.
Yeah, because it was something about Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And she was washing their undies in the sink for noodles. Like, that's embarrassing. Imagine washing another girl's undies for noodles.
That's
Not
what
And now
noodles.
you're out here begging on TikTok. Embarrassing.
I mean, but again, that goes right along with her behavior. You know what I mean?
Noodles.
Like, you're literally telling people the truth and thinking it's not going to get out there, and then it gets out there.
Stop
Sorry,
it,
why
man.
I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Not
What do you
noodles.
call it? Ramen? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. I like noodles better. It's just I don't know why that tickled me, but it did.
Well, I mean, if you're washing undies for noodles, that's like wild anyway.
Stop saying it.
What were you saying, Ivory? Sorry.
Sorry.
Biscuits and gravy and ramen noodles. What the fuck is up with this chicken food?
Oh, I know, right? And then let's not forget when Ivory read out on live, Ivory and Nina, they read out that she likes to be covered in, that she was covered in food and she was doing videos for Nick. Like,
In the bathtub.
I watched a Jerry Springer episode where this woman was covered in food and she liked it. And I was like, oh my God, that reminds me of Gypsy. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. A lot of her stories have a lot to do. I don't know what the food infatuation is.
Yes, Ivory, the barbecue sauce, the noodles, what do you call
Biscuits
it?
and gravy, all of it, yeah.
She got fishing for biscuits and gravy and told the whole world about it and then said, I want to read this book to my daughter. Like, are you going to read that book to your daughter? Are you serious? Like, are you really going to read that book to your kid?
Honestly, that's pretty diabolic.
Maybe she's going to try and teach her kid to keep her biscuits and gravy.
Like, I didn't even know what biscuits and gravy was until I read that book. Like, over here, a biscuit is a cookie, so I was super confused. And then I realized, I was like, what
Don't
is
get me
going
on the cookies. Don't get me started on the cookies, guys. Don't do it.
on?
Not the cookies, chill. I I really honestly don't get like how all it's crazy because when you look at all the stars, like how it aligned for Gypsy in this, it's very odd. But because I know how political it is, I get it, but it's still just crazy.
She got lucky. Gypsy Rose got lucky.
Oh, yeah. I saw another American case where a woman planned to have her husband unalived, right? And the police like set it all up, and she was wearing a hat. I can't remember her name. And they set it all up, and then she was like shocked, and she's in jail for life or whatever. And I was like, so she's in jail for life, but Gypsy like literally planned this for 2 years, gets out in 8, and then her supporters are like, she's done her time. I'm like, what are you talking about? Her last 2 years on parole, she's been telling us the D is fire, and now she's influencing young mothers to buy baby shit. Like, what is going on?
It's wild.
Have you ever seen a killer so vocal on the internet before?
No. No, this is a first. That's what I'm saying. This is a first for me.
And honestly, it's only because of the way that they handled it. If they didn't handle it in such a manner, we wouldn't see this.
Because her loving parents knew she had a story and they made it happen for her. They were working overtime while she was in prison to make sure she was set up the second she got out with cameras and everybody knew who she was.
But I think that's because they didn't want to have to take care of her.
Yeah.
Would you want to?
I mean, come on.
Sleep with one eye open. Anybody else humming that song right now?
Yeah.
Want to take care of her whole life. Now all of a sudden they want something to do with her? No. Except they saw money signs. I mean, Christy got her whole house redone. She got new floors.
She should have got a new skirt.
But I'm just saying.
If Gypsy was my daughter, I would have been getting the bag too. I'm not even gonna lie, because I don't like that girl.
Let me tell you something. This chick's walking around calling Christy mommy, mommy, like a freaking weirdo. You unalived mom number 1. I am sure as hell not going to be mama number 2. I'm just saying.
Nope.
Yeah, just for her to call me that, I would cringe.
If you want to, don't call me mom. Treat your mom. Like, come on. I'd be scared. I'd be shook if I was Christy. I'm telling you.
Where do you guys reckon? Do you guys reckon she's gonna live with Ken when she gets off parole in Metairie, or do you reckon they're gonna move somewhere else?
Or somewhere else.
Without her. And honestly, he should probably move while she's on parole, so that he can actually move and not end up moving.
They're going to move by his well-to-do daddy down in Florida. That's where I think they're going.
I don't reckon they had that baby in Louisiana. I reckon they had that baby, like Ivory just said. Like,
yeah, I don't believe that she. First of all, I think she had the baby in November. Why Florida? Because that's where Ken's well-to-do dad lives.
Well, damn, if she did have the baby in November, that could mean that she did. Well, I don't know. I don't want to give myself a trampoline to jump to all sorts of conclusions.
I've always put that out there as an option. That how come nobody has any pictures of her at this Thanksgiving dinner? Nobody has any pictures of her in Florida. The pictures that they did show wasn't the background at Disney wrong? And people were calling her out for it. Like, why were you faking to be there?
Well, that's why me and so many other people thought that baby was a reborn doll, because her stomach, like, no one can tell me that wasn't a fake stomach thing. Like, that's why so many people thought the baby wasn't real. Like, that's why Ivory's timeline makes sense.
all of a sudden in November she has an actual belly? Yeah, because it's a fake one. When her belly came about and all of a sudden it was protruding and it was noticeable, well, it's because she already had it, in my opinion.
That was a lifetime bump.
Honestly,
I
I'm not even
stand on
trying
that.
to make sense of that because I can't, and I don't want to feel like I need to be in a straitjacket. And every time I go down that road, I feel like I need to be in a straitjacket.
She had a whole closet full of bumps. Lifetime photo bump, lifetime filming bump. I'm going to the mall. I forgot my bump. Because that was like less than a week after her shower where she was, so big and posing, holding the underside of it to make sure it didn't fall. And then, less than a week later, she's at the mall and they didn't even know she was pregnant. Just saying.
She was
Holding
only 20
a
weeks.
pregnancy announcement photo. How did you go from being bigger in your pregnancy announcement photo, holding this big old belly bump, till you were 4 months and you were indenting the opposite direction? Come on.
Yeah.
Remember that baby mama video when she was in the room and she was doing that weird dance and shit? And she was only like
That
20
was
weeks
early
there. I was
on,
like,
wasn't it?
hey?
I think that was pretty early on, but I'm not sure. Wasn't that, Ivory?
Which dancing one?
Do you remember that one where she's dancing in her bedroom and she's pushing her stomach out and she's like doing that baby mama dance?
Oh, when she was like doing the clothes? Yeah. That was,
Yeah,
no,
and I
that
was
was
like,
6 months.
yeah, it was weird that she was doing that. And then, like, but then her stomach would go littler and then bigger again. And then she was by the pool, that dirty, filthy pool.
Not the pool, guys, that black bathing suit.
And her stomach was square. And I was like, that's square. That is not round.
Corners, and her bathing suit was tucked into the belly.
I'm telling you, I can't go down that road with that baby bump. I can't. I have already said to myself, I am not
Jump
going
in
to
the
end up
straight
in
jacket,
a
Nina. What do you do? Come on. Come to the straight jacket.
because I can't. Like, I can't make sense out of it. And if it doesn't make sense, I just piss myself off. So it just can't. I can't go back down that road. I just can't.
Gypsy, I mean, none of her makes sense.
I've been sitting in the straight jacket since I started talking about Gypsy. She's just wild.
And for some reason, I actually believe you.
Yeah.
So, birth certificates in Louisiana are not public record, so not all states are public record.
And that's the thing, is that we will never actually really know the truth. And the thing about shows, they're going to play the narrative that they want to play until, if it gets leaked or whatever. I would say this, though. I would be interested to see how things go when stuff like literally comes out going left with Ken, because I think Ken will probably tell more tea than Ryan ever has.
Isn't that, nobody's wondering why Ryan isn't talking? Saying nothing?
I've been
Oh,
wondering.
I'm sure she's a chick that loves to triangulate, man.
You know what? The only one thing I will say about Ryan is Ryan's one of those people that instantly blamed Ken. It was like in his mind. It's like in his mind, Ken stole her from me. She, like, do you know what I mean? It's like he just blamed Ken. He's got blinkers on for Ken. Do you know what I mean? Like, not blaming Gypsy, the one who actually cheated on him and ran off on him. He blames Ken. It's so weird. And Christy. Like, he blamed Christy and Ken.
I'm with him with the Christy thing. I blame Christy. But isn't that how it always goes? You always blame the guy or the other woman.
Well, yeah, like, if you've been cheated on, right, as a girl, and, some girls, they hate that woman that the man cheated on with, and then they stay with the man. It's like, well, it's the man's fault too, but they blame the woman, A
Well,
lot of girls do.
the thing is, at the end of the day, that other person didn't make a commitment to you. Your spouse did. And that's the only person that you can really hold accountable because, yeah, ethically and morally it's wrong for the other person to do it, but they don't really owe you anything.
Yeah,
I
but in
agree.
Ryan's mind, who's he blaming? Do you know what I mean? Do you like? I think that he's blaming like Ken
Well,
and
Ryan's not going to hold Gypsy accountable, right? Because at the end of the day, Ryan still has love blinders on or lust blinders, whatever you want to call them.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, 'cause, like he doesn't look at it
Manipulation.
like, well, she walked away, she left, no, he looked. Christy took her and basically brought her to Ken.
Nina, I can't take you serious with that photo.
It's the venom of Gypsy Rose. He was, you know, he's got the venom of Gypsy Rose in him. They all do. They all.
The venom of
No,
Gypsy
trust
Rose in him. That's a good line.
he
But
loves
I
me.
think because
He
she's so
loves me. She
manipulative
really
too.
loves me. Like they all believe that she really loves them, even though they're cheating on her and getting pregnant by somebody else. But she loves me. We had something special. That's master manipulation right there.
Yeah, that's how you know she's very manipulative. For her to have, and look, no shade, Ryan, if you on here listening, but for you to be a special needs teacher and get got like this, that is out of control. Out of damn control.
What possesses somebody to write a letter to someone in prison who tried? I mean, she was a whole ass.
Hey, Ivory. He likes to live life on the edge.
Was she wearing diapers when she was with him too? Because it's like, what attributed you to her? The fact that she had her mother unalived, or the fact that she looked like a prepubescent child girl? Like, what? How did you look at her and go, "Oh my God, I want to be with that for the rest of my life"? Come on.
He wanted to just
Yeah.
make believe he was playing in Vice City.
Thinking, oh, that looks like one of those. I was thinking about that one.
No, he thought life was too boring. You know, sometimes you just
How
have
can
to spice
anybody
it up.
not see? Like, how can anyone not see that she literally married him because she saw Louisiana, then she saw she could be close to, and then, married him and got out on parole. Like, you're not going to get out on parole with Ken. You're going to get out on parole with the special needs teacher, and it only took, how many episodes did it take for her to fake fight with him and then
He
get with
thought
Ken?
life was boring and she'd spice it up. He just threw a little of slap your mama in there.
Like, how many episodes did it take her to dump Ryan in season 1?
They started arguing, and she's episode 2. I think it was episode 4 or 5 when she was pulling the whole domestic violence. I'm afraid of him restraining order nonsense.
Yeah.
8 episodes that season, so yeah.
And do you know what's weird to me? And she knew she was going to break up with him, and she got a tattoo, and then he got one with like a little rose and stuff. It's like, I don't want you, but I want you to be branded by me. Like, that was really weird to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Again, it was control and
Well,
ownership.
and it's ownership. You have to
put
think
those
when
in
it comes to people like her, it's about quantity and not quality.
Well, remember when she went psycho online and she was like cracking it about that lady that was like, he was smacking that lady's ass and shit, and she did that video? Like, that was jealousy for a man she doesn't even want.
Because she owns him, though. You can't have what's mine.
And she said, "We're still married." That's how she said it, by the way.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Like, we're still married. We're still married.
We're still married. Oh, okay.
But you don't want him. You've got another boyfriend. Like, what do you care?
Well,
like,
she had a whole
Said
other
that
man's
while she was
baby.
pregnant with a whole man's baby. I thought that was wild.
Yeah, I mean, you're walking
then
around
she
with like a
said-
whole baby in your uterus that belongs to someone that's not your husband. Like, what?
I will never, ever understand how somebody, I've never seen it in my life, anybody get on the internet, on television, out into the public in the most public way possible to fight and argue the fact that the man she cheated on her husband with is in fact the baby daddy.
Oh, that
That'll
was
never
so
happen
funny.
again. I hope you witnessed it when it first went down, because it will never happen again. Because there is nobody out there trying to argue the fact that they cheated on their husband and the guy that they cheated with is in fact the father of the baby. That's the most crazy thing I've ever seen in my life.
Ivory, when you said that, I was laughing so hard, like when you said that on live that time, because you're right. Like, imagine telling the whole world that the guy I cheated on my husband with is the baby daddy, and you guys are all wrong. Like, how embarrassing!
You know, I think the thing
I didn't
is,
sleep with him.
I think the thing is that from the time she got out until people really started seeing things, society had made a lot of her behavior okay. So to her, what was the, if I unalive my mom and y'all praising me, if I cheat, why would y'all be mad? Right? Like y'all folks were telling me I was brave.
Do you know when the shifting point was, I believe? Now, I always thought Gypsy was guilty, but the shifting point for TikTok, I think, was when she did that interview. 2 lives were taken that night. I'm not the one who did the actual kill. I think that's the shifting point of when people started to dislike her more.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
She
us,
was-
but a lot of the public.
She was doing too much, right? Like when she came out, she should not have went straight on TV. She shouldn't have done all those interviews. She shouldn't have. She came out and she was doing too much immediately, and that's where she went wrong.
Literally filmed her walking out of the prison. In the
Yeah,
car. That's
literally.
when have you ever seen that?
No, that's not the norm. Because anybody else that has gotten out, and think about it, most people don't get out on murder charges, which is why I think that this situation has been handled very different from what people expect it to be handled like, because this is not the norm for someone that has unalived anyone, let alone a family member. This is probably one of the most unique situations we'll ever see. I don't think we will see something similar to this again. And because there's no clear rules on this,
You want to know the last time that we saw this? We saw this with, I know it sounds strange me saying this, but you remember, like, Ted Bundy? Like, he was his own lawyer, and he was all over the TV, like, making women love him, and like he was a TV sensation during that trial. Like, and so was what's his face, Charles Manson. We haven't seen anything like this since them two. Like, not them
the
getting
difference
out, but the
is
public.
she is a woman, which is why she has gotten off the way she has. Again, this is a very sexist situation, and it's deep rooted in sexism and patriarchy. And if you really, really, truly understand that, you look at this situation out of the lens of someone else. Because if a man was to offer up his son to a woman when the child turned 13 in on paper, do you think so many women would say, "Oh, that was 10 years ago," and he probably didn't mean that? No. But that's what people are doing for Gypsy. It's that sexism. And that's what this all boils down to. If you saw this as Gypsy being a man, would any of this be okay? No, no, no. We'd be mortified if a man did that.
Acting like this, yeah.
It's sexism. And the fact that it's playing out in front of our face and we're watching people be okay with it is insanity.
Well, that's a point that, that other group of people over there, the Onions, they went in hard. Nick did that. Nick's the one, and they made him just sound like the most diabolical human ever. Well, now that we know that it was not Nick, it was Gypsy who did that. Mute. They're quiet. And there's an excuse for that. But no, there is no excuse for that. She did it. She said it. But there's just
again,
think over
she's
there.
a woman. You know what I'm saying? So people are looking at it like, well, it's a woman. How much harm? There's women that are registered sex offenders.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And if not only did she say that, I mean, is that recorded? And the police actually saw the video of her stating that. Look how many things that she's done since she's gotten out to follow up that she is that same type of person. Her having a baby was not about her having a baby to be a mom. It is a fetish.
Yep.
Part of her fantasy.
Yes.
You gotta wonder now that she has the baby, what is the ending of the fantasy? When does the fantasy end? What is the ultimate ending?
13.
God.
That is so gross.
You know what? The state of Missouri should be held accountable for that.
I agree.
Louisiana's parole should be accountable for that. Dan Patterson should be accountable for that. Because if you let a monster out, are you going to be surprised when they monster? No.
In 13 years, if anything happens to that child, we've all told you so. Like, I hope that nothing happens to that child when she's 13. But we don't know that.
Well, I really don't think she'll have the opportunity to be around that child that long. Because the thing about people like her is that they always show their hand too soon. But I honestly don't think 13 is the beginning of that. I think she would be the person to sell her child. I do believe that. And there's sick people out there here, just like her.
In home videos with her child, you gotta wonder.
Well, and as open as she is about all that, what's her child ever going to see in that home? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's a real thought, because that's traumatic
She's
for
not
a
even
child.
old enough to protect her toothbrush.
Not the toothbrush.
Here we go.
But the thing is, Ken is just as disturbing as she is. And I think that that's what people really need to see. Because someone doesn't just end up with someone like Gypsy Rose Blanchard because they're a great person and they wrote to someone in prison trying to lend their goodwill heart to an inmate that unalived their mom.
I agree with you. He is his mentality. It's extremely disturbing.
Yeah, and the fact that he uses Nick as the villain.
However, when you look and you watch their lives with that baby, Ken is the one playing Mr. Mom.
Well, that's because he's a never mind.
What do you mean?
You can tell that he's the one caring for that child. It's just, you know what I mean? Even though he's a disturbing individual, I feel like he has a connection to that baby that she just don't.
Yeah, he's very maternal. We've seen that as well.
I agree with you, because remember when she was on live and Ken was like, he put the blanket over her and then she like let the blanket fall. It's like Ken's looking at her like, we didn't want the baby on TV. Like, why are you showing it?
Even that, they made the baby a bottle the baby was going to eat, and he was like, "Give me, I'll feed her." And he took her right from Gypsy and was like, "I'll feed her," and went and fed her.
Exactly, because I don't think Ken wants her on the camera, and I'm not sticking up for Ken because I reckon he's an idiot too, but I think that if I had to choose between which parent's better, I'd choose Ken over her.
Well, I don't think that he wants the baby on camera. No. But I honestly don't trust Ken with her either.
Oh, she wanted to prove that that baby was real. Because so many people thought that it wasn't.
I agree. Yeah, he did say that he was terrified to have a baby with her. Wouldn't you be? I'd be
Yeah.
afraid of living in the house with her. I sure as hell ain't getting in bed with her. I wouldn't have a child with her. I wouldn't have a pet fucking goldfish with her. You drown the thing. No way.
Listen, I wouldn't use a bathroom in a KFC with that bitch in there. Okay.
I can also tell you this.
And
I
I,
would not
KFC
carry a
bathroom.
toothbrush holder with you either. My toothbrush would be under lock and key in a safe somewhere.
Imagine the police having to watch the toothbrush video and not be sick. Like, imagine watching all that shit. You said, like Ivory said in a live, imagine this chick playing with a fish pillow in her interrogation room. Ivory, I was like nearly screaming, laughing when you said that. Playing with a fish pillow, and then next minute you're watching her go downtown with a toothbrush. The cops would be like, who is this bitch? Like, what is happening?
well, here's the thing. You have to think too, though. The cops always see diabolical things all the time, right? But I think what really threw the cops off is when you look at Gypsy and you hear her voice, you don't really ever think that she's a criminal. And that's where I say too, it's the sexism, because when you really look at this situation and you look at someone like Gypsy, generally you would not deem them as a threat. And I think
Oh, no.
Those officers were shocked as hell.
Yeah, that's still her strategy now. That's
Nina,
why she
look at
uses
the
that
picture.
voice.
I want everyone to look at that picture up there in Nina's box. Look at her. Look at her. Can you imagine now seeing a video with her throwing a toothbrush up her woo-ha and laying naked in a tub with food all over her, being Demona and Ruby and all of that? That same person went that night and fiddled a toothbrush for 12 minutes, and some cop had to be like, "That's who I saw this morning, and this is who I'm watching now." That's the craziness of it all.
Exactly, Ivory. Like, look, like when you say that, like, if, like I'm looking at her right now, thinking, like, if I didn't know her, I would walk past the house and wave and think, "Oh, poor girl in a wheelchair." That's what, like, I would be
Exactly.
like,
The
you know,
perception.
I
But
would
that's
not
the
think that
thing.
she's going to go to that shed and diddle a toothbrush for 12 minutes. I wouldn't think that.
But that's the thing, is the perception of how she comes across. And you could, again, even if you look at her interviews, she has this very high pitched voice. She uses a certain voice for her interviews because that's a way to manipulate your brain without doing it straight up to your face.
I agree with that.
You know, because it's programmed to us that she's not deemed as a threat.
Do you know what point you guys brought up before when I was like, I wasn't in the box, but I was down? I think it was either Ivory or Nina, I can't remember, but it was like, how her perception is like. Oh no, I forgot. Damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. I don't know why.
You're cracking me up.
No, I literally had it and then it just disappeared, and I'm like, oh shit.
Don't say anything unhinged like we're in the group chat.
Please say it all unhinged. But it'll
I've
be
been hoping. I'm like, Jackie, please don't say nothing crazy.
You sure will.
No, I wasn't. It wasn't.
When
No, it
comes
wasn't.
out.
It literally wasn't. I literally forgot.
But I think if you just think about like everything in general, I just think that the perception has just been that she is harmless. And that is the dangerous part, is that she appears harmless. I think if you really If you really look in her eyes, you know. But that's only if you are someone that pays attention to that.
Oh, that's it. It was you guys talking about how Gypsy and that, like, oh, damn it. What is wrong with my head brain today? I'm just going to stop talking because I can't even think.
I know in the chat.
But
But
I feel like that's the thing is that if you really debunk like the things that make you feel like she could possibly be innocent, or, well, not innocent, but not, a horrible person, it would just be her voice and her stature. If you take that away and put her as a little boy with a deep voice, you would think totally different of this situation.
Yeah, you would. Oh, it was the abuse victims. Like, there's a lot of people that have been victims of abuse, and they believe Gypsy based off that. I was trying to get it right in what I was saying, but I kept on forgetting. But, say someone was abused as a child or whatever, like, they believe people like Gypsy. She counts on those type of people. She also counts on young adults, like that guy that jumped in the live, I think it was 4 o'clock in the morning my time, and he was like, yeah, but I've seen all the documentaries and stuff, and he was only 18 years old. And the young ones believe her, the abuse victims believe her, and there's pages on Facebook dedicated to people who have been abused, and they think that we're shameful because we're disbelieving abuse victims. But it's like, there's people that have been abused that don't believe Gypsy.
It's the thing about, and that's a lot of it has to do with psychology and the way the brain works, right? Because a lot of times people try to identify to something because it generally brings understanding, right? If you could identify with it, you tend to understand it. And so people have identified with Gypsy because it would appear that she's a survivor. So it gives other people hope, but it's a false hope because it's all in a farce. But that doesn't mean that people don't really believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. If you were someone that was really abused by a parent, right? And Gypsy comes out after doing that to her mom. She's surviving and it looks like she's thriving. She becomes a mom. You're like, oh, okay. Well, if she could survive, I could survive too. I could get past this, right? But in reality, it's nothing's ever as it seems.
that's the truth.
And the fact that
That officer said too, things are not always as they seem.
and the
Yeah.
and the fact that we've idolized her, and I'm saying we as a country collectively, for her to even get to where she has been, it shows that we as a people, something's wrong. Because this at no point should have been acceptable for her to have a TV show. Like, it should have never been, like, it should have never been okay.
And for people to sit there and act like she's all innocent, like, oh, she's never. Listen, she unalived somebody. We already know that, one, her coping skills suck, but two, that she's capable of it. And why people are sitting there acting like this woman is all innocent and like you care what she does day to day, it's really because they know she's capable of doing it again, whether they want to admit it or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody, I would, yeah, for sure. I just think that, Missouri is going to have a lot on their plate. Whatever happens, that's going to be a huge lawsuit because it's negligence on their part. And I'm going to say something that I don't know if I've ever said on here before. I know I've said it on YT. And if you watch any of my long form content, like you would see it on there. But I did not believe in the penalty before. I was actually totally against it. This is a case that has completely changed my mind about that. So that should really tell you something. Like to see that someone could be this diabolic
Yeah, she played
to
so
this
many
level.
angles.
She is the one who changed my mind on that.
Yeah. Yep, I do. I believe that she should have gotten the death penalty.
Yeah, I think that what she did, how she did it, how she planned it, and how long she planned it for using someone with special needs, that it's
And the fact that there was an attempt, people forget she attempted previously.
right.
Exactly. Irene, who covered that up? Her mum. Her mum lied and said that it happened in Walmart to protect her kid.
Exactly. She knew her kid was wrong. She knew her kid was sick. And I think that she knew that she was going to get hurt by her kid.
Oh, she absolutely knew.
She tried to protect the world from Gypsy.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if later down the line somebody comes out and says, yeah, she was my neighbor and she unalived my cat when she was 5.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like she gives that.
Yeah, I reckon she's poked a couple of kittens.
I remember babysitting a kid before, and he used to like drag the cat by his neck, and I would have to catch him and be like, dude, what are you doing? Like I just knew he was gonna be. I was like, he's a felon. He might be 5, but this little boy is a felon. His mama needs to get her attorney money together because you won't be using it for college. And I feel like she is that kid.
Yeah.
All these people who like her, they like a lot of them have animal pictures, and I just think she left her first animals and then she ditched that pixie dog, and you still like her. And then these women are the same women that are against cheating, and she obviously cheated on her husband. They're still with her. Like nothing that she does can make them. I just don't understand.
Because in their mind, everything that she does comes from trauma and abuse, so it justifies it to them.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which is it's weird because at what point do you hold someone accountable? You have to hold people accountable.
This is the biggest circus I've ever seen. Like, you've never seen on this scale a criminal coming out and just becoming famous like this, and then her supporters are like, "Oh, just let her live her life." It's like, and don't talk about her. It's like, sorry, but she's on 60 Minutes in Australia now. She's in England on some TV show. She's on Lifetime. She's all over TikTok. She's all over YouTube, all over Instagram, and we're not allowed to have a say on it. Like, are you guys serious?
Yeah, that whole theory is wild. That whole, I'm going to make myself oh so public, but I need my privacy.
Yeah. And then she said something like, I don't do anything to anybody. What do I do to people? Like, I don't know, trigger a whole bunch of people?
Well, I don't know. How about you using your friend to troll people, to dox them and everything else, and then have that same friend lie and say that everybody's doxing her, gaslighting people? Like, I mean, her and her whole crew of friends are trolls. Every last one of them.
Yeah. Yep.
But I couldn't imagine coming on the internet every day to be Gypsy's savior for free. That's wild. That's wild.
Oh, Gypsy be paying my water bill, my rent. Yeah.
Like, that's wild. Like, that's crazy to me. When I think about how it's been, like, when you really think about that, it just makes no sense as to why someone would ever get on the internet and really hardcore defend that and say everybody else is wrong when they mamas is at home sleep.
Speaking of sleep, guys, I'm gonna hop down. It's like 1:30 in the morning. I gotta.
Yeah, I'm gonna get off too. I just wanted to come on tonight because I said we were and we didn't the last day. But
Yeah.
they can't reopen the case, but they could well, I don't know, but they could definitely charge her federally. Will it happen? I don't know. I think if it gets in the right hands, it's possible, but we just have to see. For right now, we need to get Nick justice, and then I think when he gets justice, we'll see different things happen. But I hope you all have a great night. Thank you, Ivory, for joining Pam and Jack and everybody that joined before. No, Double Jeopardy is no, it is dual sovereignty. Another branch of government can not branch of government. Another what do you call that?
She can be charged federally.
But what do you call that? It's another.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember what you call it, but my mind is blank. But yeah, she definitely could be charged federally. It's a different jurisdiction.
Do you mean dual sovereignty?
No, she can't. Nobody can file a wrongful death suit because there's a 2-year statute of limitation. There's a 2-year statute of limitation from the time the person passed. So it's past that at this point. But you guys have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you,
And we'll see you guys soon. Bye bye, y'all. Go follow Ivory.
Good night,
He
everyone.
left me.